Hello there, my name is Corey Amos, and we are here with Mike Aitken, who was our keynote speaker to begin our day 2 of the 2013 PHRA conference. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Corey, thank you for having me.
So for those who are new to viewing our videos, maybe you could describe to them briefly your role at the Society for Human Resources Management.
Well, at SHRM, I am the Vice President of Government Relations, and as such, I'm responsible for all of our public policy endeavors at the federal, state, local, and arguably even international level. And that includes trying to influence the legislation, have a good workplace solution that makes the best sense for the organization.
Wonderful. And you spoke in your speech this morning a lot about the outlook and what's coming up with this 113th Congress and this second term of President Obama. Could you briefly kind of bullet point some of those for our viewers?
Sure. Right now, we're in the midst of a fiscal crisis, and in the short term, they're trying to figure out how to fund the federal government,
right,
as well as extend the debt ceiling and possibly set up a framework to do tax and entitlement reform. I think probably the second biggest issue that would be on the plate that would impact our members and HR professionals is immigration reform, and whether or not they're able to come up with some package of legislation that addresses that very important issue. And then absent that, I think you really got to look to the agencies, and we anticipate a lot of regulatory activity, particularly the labor management issue over the next 8 to 10 months.
Right. So you seem like a charming person. How do you deal with delivering some admittedly depressing information?
I'm actually not a charming person.
Oh, okay.
No, I am.
My bad.
No. Look, it's like anything else, I think, whether it's dealing in the workplace, dealing with our members, or dealing with Congress, is I think it's our responsibility to be factual,
right,
to be grounded in what we're saying. But just like in the workplace, where we have to sometimes give bad news or depressing news, directness and with tact and diplomacy is usually the best way to handle it.
Right.
And as Winston Churchill once said that. I'm paraphrasing here, obviously, but the worst form of government is democracy, absent any other form of government. And usually we come to a good decision and something that's truly American, but it's painful to get there. And I think we're just going through one of those periods of time where we're trying to figure out where we're headed.
Right. Now, I've been told that you've been quoted as saying advocacy is not a spectator sport. So for us in our HR world as professionals, what do you feel are the really key important issues that we should be focusing on where we can actually contribute and make a difference?
Yeah, and when I said advocacy is not a spectator sport, what I meant by that is you all have the knowledge and information of what really happens at your workplace.
Right.
You've had to design policies and programs that work not just for the organization, but from the employee's perspective as well.
Right.
Because we know the most important asset at your work site isn't the machines. It's not, your liquidity and your cash. It's your people, and you compete with your people. And you're trying to be an employer of choice, and so you know what's best to try and hit that goal and hit that achievement. And I think you have a story to tell policymakers and some of the good things that you're doing out there. And it's our responsibility to get involved with that process and to help shape policy. We have nobody but to blame but ourselves by sitting on the sidelines and doing that. Our A team, or advocacy team, that we created 3 years ago, is an effort to more formalize and allow our members to be engaged at both the federal and state levels to try and shape the policies to provide for a more effective workplace. We're, again, as I mentioned, going into our 4th year on that, and having some good success, and have evidence where actually our voice has made a difference in a debate. And again, you don't have to be a policy expert, but you need to be able to tell the story of what you're doing at your work site.
Narratives can be so powerful in painting the picture of what it actually looks like when it all shakes down. So
absolutely, and you are a constituent with your member of Congress. You employ a lot of people in his or her district. You're a vital cog in that local economy.
Right.
And how, they often, members of Congress, I really think, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, they come to Washington or the state capitals, or whether they're independents for that fact, with the best of intentions. And they bring their own experiences, but not all of them are experts in the workplace. And
Right.
that's really a role that we can play. And I should say, SHRM is a nonpartisan organization. We work with both Republicans and Democrats. We do not have a political action committee. We don't support candidates in the political process, but we do work with anybody that's interested in trying to come up with effective workplace policy.
Wonderful. Now, switching gears a little bit to something a little bit more personal, you were sharing about your personal contribution to the economy of Pittsburgh. So could you give us a little bit of an update on your son?
Sure. My oldest son, Ryan, is a sophomore at Carnegie Mellon University. He is a mechanical engineer, or a mechie as they call it. And he's also plays for the Tartan football team, and they're having a great year. He's enjoying Pittsburgh, sometimes enjoying it a little too much.
Okay.
And doing well in school, and it's over the last 2 years, it's provided my wife and I and the rest of our family an opportunity to get to know and spend a little more time in Pittsburgh. And not only am I helping with the local economy of paying directly the tuition at Carnegie Mellon, every time I would come up here, I'm helping with the local grocery stores.
I'm
and,
sure.
paying for him and his roommates. But
As a football player, I'm sure he's a healthy eater.
he eats a lot,
He eats.
as does his roommates. So.
That's wonderful. Well, we love having you, not just here, but in Pittsburgh. So thank you very much for being with us.
Well, thank you for having me this
No
morning.
problem.